Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of My Sunderland 11. As always, we are in association with the Sunderland Food Bank and the Sunderland Fairs Museum. Please go and check them out. Links out in the description below. Joining me, I have a very, very special guest. We have a former Sunderland player who played from the years 1992 to 1999. He's known as the son of Pele, Martin Smith. How are you, Martin?
I'm good, Matthew. Thanks. Yeah, good to be on at last.
Yeah. At last, yeah. It's been a while coming around to it, but we've got there in the end. How's your lockdown going? You've been quite busy today, though, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Just with a few things with work and stuff. Yeah, so it's been all right. I think the start of lockdown, like everybody else, the sun was out and it was a bit like a summer holiday. But yeah, it's just hopefully now people are starting to get back to a bit normal. We've had that map sent out by the government where we can potentially get into pubs and football grounds in the not too distant future. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got like a date now to hopefully look forward to. You know, the days are getting a little bit longer. It's getting lighter for a bit longer, and the weather's starting to get a little bit nicer. So yeah, there's plenty of things to look forward to. Have you sort of got any like sort of new hobbies that you found during the lockdown? I mean, for me, I started doing this. Have you got anything new you started doing?
I started also, to be honest, dug ponds, painted fences, sort of stuff that I'd been putting off for years. Got around to doing all that. Doing a lot of Sunderland quizzes, as you'd be aware. Not too successfully, but just trying to keep busy. I mean, it was good that the sport came back on TV. So especially in the dark nights, that everybody is plenty of football and other stuff on the telly. So yeah, but. Just general pottering as older people tend to do.
Yeah, obviously you still mentioned you're busy with work and that. What are you sort of up to now then after your football career?
I work in the football agency side of things. I work for Quantum Sport, which Marco Gabbiadini sort of founded. So I've been involved with it since probably about 6-7 years now. It wasn't something when I left football that I thought I would end up doing. Tried a bit of scouting and a few things, but sort of got offered a job in it and thought I'll give it a go. Really just looking after young lads and sort of trying to pass on advice and help them along the way. Again, not all agents and football agencies are bad. They do actually try and help lads. Say the company I work for, we have something that helps them sort of with the mental side of the game and all the pressures that come with it. So we're not sort of forgetting that side of it. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's sort of nothing beats playing, but it sort of just keeps us sort of involved with football. Sort of before the lockdown, I would be out watching 6, 7, 8 games a week. So yeah, so I really enjoyed it, and it's sort of good seeing lads sort of progress, and it's quite rewarding in a lot of ways.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people when they finish their footballing career, they're going to different things. Obviously, you went into that was obviously the aspect of coaching. Did you ever think about sort of going into coaching after your football career?
No, it was never something I really fancied, to be honest. It seems strange, but I always sort of found the game quite easy in a lot of ways. I was sort of natural, and even trying to get my own son to do stuff in the back garden, I couldn't get it across, and I'd get frustrated. So why can you not just bend it with the outside your left boot? And, so it was something that sort of frustrated us. And no, as I say, and as the years have gone on, it's something I'd sort of half did think, well, what if? But yeah, the time's sort of gone now. But yeah, I can understand why people do it. As I say, once you leave football, you want to sort of be back into it, and whether it's sort of being a physio or a coach or anything, just to be still around it, it's good.
Exactly, yeah. Obviously, we've seen many things. You know, like John Cook going into being a kit man, Craig Russell went into being a masseur. So yeah, like, not even like coaching is just anything really. So I just want to take you right back really to your sort of first memories of growing up and watching football. So what do you remember from that time?
It's strange. I can still remember the first time I went into Roker Park. There's a lot of things I can't remember. Can't remember what I did last week. But sort of, it was a night game. It was a reserve game. I can't remember sort of who they were playing. I just remember they were in a yellow strip, and again, there wasn't much football on the TV them days. And it was my first time in a big stadium, and just going up, and it was a night game, and just walking out the main stand at the top of the paddock and seeing the grass, how green it was, the lights on, it was something special. As I say, it sticks with me to this day, which is quite random. So sort of fell in love with Sunderland ever since then, and it was sort of always a dream to play for them. But again, yeah, just started going to games, probably first team games, I would say, probably 80, 81. When I was 6, 7, would just tag along with anybody who take us. I rarely missed a home game, if ever. And then as I got a bit older, started to get to the odd away game. But yeah, just always, it was sort of always Sunderland, and always a dream to play for them as well.
Yes, as you said, dream to play for them, and it eventually does become a time where you do start playing for the club. So how did that actually come about to start playing for them?
I mean, it was different in them days. Obviously, you got your academies, and lads are scouted from the sort of the age of, I think, 7 and 8. But funnily enough, I was at Newcastle from I think it was the age of 11 to 14. It was sort of an excellent school then, where you go one night a week. So, and again, as a young lad, I didn't think the rivalry was so big, so it wasn't such a big decision as it sort of potentially would be if I'd left the first team and went to play for Newcastle. That would have been a no-no. But then, as a young lad, just got to Newcastle, it didn't seem so bad. So I was there for 3 years, but as I got older, I realised it was getting bad, and I wanted to be at Sunderland. And it's sort of always shown an interest. And I'd say when I got to 14, I think Newcastle offered me a chance to sign sort of schoolboy forms as it was then. But Sunderland had shown the interest, and it was that was it. It was just wanted to sign for Sunderland, so I got it done. There was a lot of interest from around the country at the time because I was playing for England under 15s. But as I say, the only thing I ever wanted to do was put on the red and white stripes.
Yeah, and I think wasn't your debut for Sunderland against Luton?
Yeah,
believe it was. What do you remember from that day?
The team was struggling, just for a change, and I think we'd been beat at Middlesbrough on the Saturday, probably 4-1. And I'd never been in a first team squad. I hadn't even travelled. Never been on a match day squad. So I think it was the game was a Tuesday night, and on the Tuesday morning, I got pulled off Butch and just says, "You sort of playing tonight." And it was like, whoa, God. So going from not even being really sort of involved just to be playing tonight. And again, we did a practice game in the morning, went through the set players, and I got put on free kicks, and I managed to score one in the morning, and I think that meant that I was going to be on them on the night. And strange enough, got one on the night. I think it was the 19th minute in exactly the same position as I took one on the morning. I think it was Derek Ferguson, maybe it's Brian Atkinson over the ball, and so I just touched it and I just leathered it. And it's one of the goals down the years it's grown where I've bent it in the top corner, but it was just head down, whack it, and it managed to go in. So yeah, 19 minutes into my home debut, scoring in front of the full end was just something else really. Just to say friends and family behind the goal and my mum and dad there, it was really special. Yeah, and again, looking back, it just sort of shows how times have changed. I think I just turned around and got a firm handshake off Bally. It wasn't like there was no running off and shirts or anything. If it was just firm handshake and back to the halfway line.
Yeah, a lot of people actually say that, and I've listened to quite a lot of podcasts where, people said, well, some time ago in football, how people celebrate now, they run off, do a knee slide, they all jump on top of each other. But then back then, sort of, it was just like a handshake and well done. You're back off to your own half of the pitch to kick off again.
Yeah, it was, especially if Bally was near you. He didn't let you get carried away. It was like focus, you've scored, move on, Yeah, but it was fantastic. And so we won 2-0 as well, which is it got into a side that was struggling, and we won 2-0. But again, I think we drew West Brom on the Saturday. I set that goal up, but the right was on the wall, and Terry Butcher, who gave me my debut, didn't last too much longer, really.
Yeah, of course. So just want to ask really. So you obviously that was in 1992, I believe, and then you go on to you keep on playing for Sunderland to 1999. Played with many great players, I'm sure. At two stadiums as well. What would you say your best memory is?
It's tough. I mean, it's a lot of great. Obviously, my debut, but the one that sticks out was a goal at home at Swindon. And when Brady had come in for the 7 games, we were going down. There was no doubt about it, and we managed to get some results, and sort of that was the massive one. Swindon at home, they were down there with us, and I managed to score a volley, which got us a massive 3 points and went away to keep us up. But yeah, again that, and then sort of my first goal at Stadium of Light, knowing I'd scored at both, just things like that were massive. Probably looking back now, appreciate more now than at the time. You was just in your football sort of world, and that's what it was. But see, you probably look back a bit more now with a bit more pride in what you did, really.
Well, of course, I mean, for a lot of Sunderland fans, even for myself, to think that to get a chance to go on the Stadium of Light pitch and play and score a goal, that would just be a dream come true. And you're actually someone who's lived that dream. So I can imagine now looking back, you're like, well, it's really great that I did get to do that.
Yeah, it is. It's great. As I say, like when you go to stadium now and you sort of just think what had gone before and go, stuff comes flooding back to you. So I think as you get older, not that you'll know that, Matthew, but as you get older, you start to think about things, and as I say, I just appreciate. Yeah, it is. It's good to know that you played a part in the history.
Absolutely. So obviously, as we just said earlier, you played at Roker Park and the Stadium of Light. Now, obviously, moving from Roker Park after being there, the club being there for 99 years, and moving to somewhere completely different was a massive change. As a player, you're at Roker Park, the famous Roker Park, and then you move to a brand new Stadium of Light. How was that transition?
It was quite strange in a way, because suddenly you were playing in front. If Roker Park was full when I was playing, you're probably 20-something thousand, then you're going to play in front of 35, 40,000. It was huge. It suddenly turned into something totally different. Obviously, Roker Park was where I grew up watching Sunderland, trained and played there, and that will always be sort of my favourite ground for, just to say, sort of nostalgia side and growing up there. But the Stadium of Light was just something else. I think it just sort of moved us to a different level. You just say that just the facilities when you first walked in, it was in a way, it was like playing for a different club. You go and play, and just, let's say, a lot of the times we were playing in front of 17,000 to go in. Your home crowd was guaranteed over 30,000, and again, that brought its own different pressures. It was say suddenly going from Roker Park comfortable, and it's like Stadium of Light, big stand, everything on top. It was strange but great, and when the Stadium of Light was bouncing, it was unreal.
Absolutely, and I think as well, it was also quite a good season, the first season at the Stadium of Light, because I think that was Kevin Phillips' first season. So that was the first season you sort of had Kevin Phillips and Niall Quinn, and that was the opening season at the Stadium of Light. So I think times were great.
Yeah, it was. They say it was bouncing. Obviously, just an exciting team under Brady, and again, just so many more people in there. Yeah, it was fantastic. I say, I think everybody was sort of so many, seem to be so many new fans, and just the positivity around it was massive.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously the things at the stadium obviously haven't gone fantastic over the past few years, and that's sort of where it brings us onto the modern day now. So I sort of move on to what's going on now. Obviously, a very weird time where no fans are in the stadium. I don't think anything like this has ever happened in football before, to have a full season behind closed doors. Have you actually, as a fan now, found watching the games?
It's been tough in a way. Yeah, I think people have realised how much the fans create and help the energy in the stadium and the energy of the players. I think there's so many games you watch, and they do come across like practice games. And as an ex-player, I can sort of understand that, especially say when they're playing Saturdays, Tuesdays, Saturdays. It is odd, because you thrive off the fans. Say when you train, you'll play practice games, and often the sort of reserves of the youth team will beat the first team, just because they're a bit more up for it than sort of the seasoned professionals. And say it'll be hard I would think, to continually sort of lift yourself when there's no fans there. So it is. It's been, and it, again, I think it's become easier over the last few weeks when we're starting to win in, and we look a lot more positive on the pitch. So it's become a lot easier to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to ask you, you as an ex-player yourself, playing in front of fans. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of players thrive off that. But then I think it also brings a pressure. And do you think the fans being in the stadium sort of drops the pressure off people's shoulders? Yeah, and makes it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, I think there is that side of it. Yeah, I've seen a few goals this year when I've thought, if there was fans in, would you be trying that sort of thing? You know, it is. And again, that comes to sort of the intensity. Even though you're going out with the best intentions, because the fans are not there, it can't be the same. You know, and as I say, yeah, I think people in training will make them a few mistakes, and it means nothing. And I think again, that'll happen on a Saturday afternoon where you make a mistake and there's no crowd there having a go, or the way fans are giving you the bird or whatever. I think it does become a little less pressurised. But again, sometimes that isn't a good thing, and it translates to a game that sometimes, as I say, you're watching it is just looks a bit of a kickabout at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. The kickabout sort of side of it, and I think as well when you have a player, and if there were fans in the stadium, they think, well, there's someone over there I could play a pass to. But if I completely miss them and I put it out for a throw, and everyone's going to go, oh, but they don't have that fear, because if they kick it out, then there's no worries really. But if they get it right, then it's fine. I don't think Charlie White would have scored as many goals as he did this season if there were fans in the stadium.
Yeah, because he did go. He's had a bit of a bad run, hasn't he? And again, if the fans had been in, and again, it's not just at Sunderland, it's all clubs. It's fans probably would have been honoured him, and he might have ended up being dropped because he wasn't performing. And yeah, it just shows, the same confidence. And Charlie's a prime example. If you get on a run with goals, the game suddenly becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we can carry on this good bit of form that we're in. Obviously, in tonight we're playing Fleetwood Town tonight when this is being recorded. So hopefully we can, keep the good run going. So Martin, one more question for you before we do go through your 11. Now, the question I ask all the guests, and in your own words, what does Sunderland AFC mean to you?
It's been my life for as long as I can remember, in a lot of ways, and. It means a lot. I think, like most people in Sunderland, it's just a massive part of your life. Whether it's, as I say, going to the game, it's not just about the club as well. It's seeing mates. I've now put the burden onto my son. He's been going and watching, and he's now supports. It's just a part of your life.
Yeah. That's fair enough, really. Yeah, I completely agree as well. It does become part of your life. It's not just a team you support sort of on the side, or a team you like. It just does become everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. As I said, it's obviously things are a lot better when things are going well. And as I say, at the minute, it just, again, it just seems a massive positivity around it. Even myself just watching and seeing what's going behind the scenes now, it just gives us a real positive sort of outlook. Whether that lasts, we know what, but hoping Sunderland fans it's like. But is there that hope's back there again, that maybe we've sort of bottomed out, and let's look forward.
Yep, hopefully so. So obviously we've got to look forward now, but for now, in this episode, we'll look back at your best memories being a Sunderland fan and a Sunderland player on your favourite ever 11. So it's a 4-4-2 formation, I believe you've played, isn't it?
Yeah, old school.
Yeah, old school. So yeah, we'll start with who you have in goal.
I went with Tommy Sorensen. Again, it's one of them. I've seen so many good goalkeepers at Sunderland down the years, but sort of playing with Thomas, you just knew how good he was, sort of from when he first came in. Pretty unknown, really. I think he come across. None of us knew who he was, but instant impact, just a presence, a big lad, but a really nice lad, but somebody who had confidence in himself, and that spread along the sort of defence and the players he played with. I was trying. I can never. I mean, I'm sure he is, but I can't remember Thomas ever making a clanger, like making a mistake where you thought, "Jesus, Thomas, what?" He's just one of them. You just knew what you were getting from him all the time. again, just commanding. And again, to go and play over 100 games for his country just tells you how good he was. Sort of, I think Brady sort of decided after the playoff game against Charlton when Lionel made a couple of mistakes. That was it. And as I say, went and got Thomas, an absolute sort of masterstroke, and went on and just was a commanding goalkeeper. Saving penalties at St James's Park always helps to put people up in your estimations. But yeah, just an all-round good, solid goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people have said Sorensen as well, but we have had a history of having, great goalkeepers, ourselves. And as soon as you save a penalty at St James's Park, I think you automatically do become a legend.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I was still playing, and I'd played on that afternoon, and sort of come in and just caught that he'd saved sort of Shearer's penalty, and I thought, oh, good on you, Thomas. Like, yeah, because as I say, a really good fella, very confident in his own ability. But yeah, that was massive. But again, as I say, I've sort of been blessed down the years, even when I was younger, watching just say Chris Turner's, Tony Norman's, and again you go back to Jordan Pickford. Just we have been blessed with some really, really top class goalkeepers.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we could say the same now, but
yeah, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, as soon as we hit that championship season, had 3 interesting goalkeepers, but anyway, but best leave that in the past. So yeah, Sorensen, fantastic choice in your team. I will go to your fullbacks now. We'll start with who you've got at right back.
Yeah, Barry Venison. Going back to sort of when I first started to watch Sunderland. Just remember him. Where I first sort of remember him scoring away at Man City, I'm sure it was. It'd come on Sunday afternoon. I was in my grandma's house and saw him score this worldie away at Man City. I think so that always stuck in my head, but just was just always a solid performer. Good at going forward, good in the tackle. I think he became our youngest captain at the time at Wembley in the Milk Cup. But yeah, just as I say, when I spoke to you before, I could probably pick 3 different teams of players I've played with, nostalgic players, and I've sort of mixed it up a bit. But again, Barry Venison was one from like me early days. But see, you look at his record, and even though I was young, I think I've picked a good player there. To go play for Liverpool as well. A couple of caps for England showed that he was a good player. As I say, he was one who played I think he played over 200 games for Sunderland. So just an all-round good, solid player. I remember him as.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of Sunderland fans' horror after leaving Liverpool, he went to Newcastle. And do you remember that? How did that sort of feel when he did that?
Yeah, I think it's always one of them when that happens. You think, how could you do that? But yeah, at least he went to Liverpool first, and then it wasn't a straight swap. But yeah, it was. I think he was a North East lad, so he was coming back. I think he was from Concert. Yeah, so I think it's always tough for many players from the North East to do that. But again, it probably shows a character of the fella. He went on to have a good career at Newcastle. Would have been hard for him to sort of go there and win them over as well. So it probably shows how good a character he was.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say as well, I think that the youngest captain at the time Wembley had seen, in the 1985 Milk Cup final against Norwich. Shame we didn't win that one. But yeah, the solid leader you got in your team there. So we'll switch now to the left back. Who have you got
there? Michael Greer.
Yeah.
I've known Mickey probably since we've been about 15 or 16. I always remember him as a fullback when we were younger, even though I think when he first got in the team, he was more playing. He could play on the wings, and he was used as a winger. And probably not till sort of really later in Reedy's reign that he ended up a left back. But as I said, I was a younger lad. I remember as a left back, but you'd play in front of him, and Mickey was probably he was the most unselfish fullback I ever played with. Mickey would just gallop past you time after time, and he never expected the ball, or he never moaned when you didn't give him it. If you wanted to do a trick and go inside, he was happy just to keep doing it, and there's not many players who just keep running not get the ball. But he was fantastic at that. And again, when I played with him, just always had a good understanding with him. Say he was good on the ball, could just run all day. He was a manager's dream, really, because he was rarely injured. As I say, so fit. He was one of them, always at the front of the running, even though he liked the beer every now and again. He was one of them. He could go out the night before, wake up, still be front of the running. You were like, God, how do you do it? But yeah, just a real good team player, but a lot of quality as well. I think people sort of forget, even when he was playing on the wing, he scored some good goals, and I'm sure down there he put a lot of crosses in for Big Quinny. Obviously, he set goals up at St James himself, but yeah, just an all-round good player. Again, to rack up over 300 games for your hometown club is something very special.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, that crossing for Niall Quinn, the header. Yeah, I think a lot of fans remember that. And as you say, he keeps very fit. I mean, I don't know if you see him on his Instagram. He's posting workout videos every single day, and he's probably in his best shape now as he's ever been in his entire life. So that's just testament to him, really.
Yeah, yes, he loves it. He just loved keeping fit. He's always been the same. Say last time I saw him, I think he'd been down the beach for a run and done like 10 miles, and you're like, "Jeez, mate, man!" But there's still nothing on him. And I know he turned up by pre-COVID. He turned up for charity games, and he'd still be the fittest there, And so he always kept himself right. And again, just didn't miss many games. Just one of them was just always on the pitch.
Yeah, fair enough. I think someone needs to remind him that he's actually retired. I think in his head he doesn't think he is, and he's still going. But I think we could maybe do with him now, to be honest. I don't think he did such a bad job in League One. But yeah, so that's a fantastic choice at left back. We'll go to your central defenders now. You want to talk us through who you've gone with there?
Sean Elliot.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, just going back to sort of my early time watching Sunderland. Just remember him being so calm. Another one, it might be the blonde haired lads. I like it. Yeah, I've got a back foot. I say Sean Elliot was sort of blonde hair. Just stood out. Always seemed so calm. Read the game well. Good on the ball, which, as I say, back then, he always seemed a bit more composed than others around him. Again, another one just racked up a lot of games for the club. He was another one over sort of 300 games. And unfortunate, as I say, Barry Venison, we go back. Barry Venison was the youngest captain. I think it was called Sean Elliott, was suspended, which I'm sure was a massive sort of blow to him to miss a cup final for your home club. But yeah, just as I say, thinking back through the years, Sean Elliott was always one of the players who I really liked. As I say, just maybe it's sort of a bit of ahead of his time in my head, anyway. As a young fan, he seemed different and as I say, very calm. And again, just always seemed another good leader who seemed to always be on the pitch and rarely injured, is what I can remember. Yeah,
absolutely. I think a few fans have mentioned him being. I think he's quite an underrated player. You think of great centre backs that we've had. I mean, the next one you've gone for as well. Everyone remembers him. But I think a lot of people, don't really remember Sean Elliott, as well, really. And for me, as a younger fan, I never heard of Sean Elliott before I actually started doing these videos. So it's actually nice to hear a lot more about the great players that we've actually had. But yeah, so his defensive partner, who you've got in the back for?
Gary Bennett. Yeah. Ben, he'll not like me saying this, but I can remember him as a fan. I was at his debut as a young lad, Again, another one we signed where you weren't really sure who he was. Not a lot about him, as I say, not a lot of football on TV them days. So you didn't see everybody like you do now. But sort of come in a summer where I think there's a bit of sort of optimism. I think we've made a few signs. Obviously, Ben will come in with Howard Gale, I think Clive Walker at the time, Roger Wilde. I remember his debut with Southampton at home, and I was in the full end, and Ben scored quite early, so announced himself to the Sunderland fans, and as I say, sort of took him to the heart since then. But yeah, Benno, just good, solid player. So you just used to love when he got on the ball and he'd make the marauding front runs forward, and you just never know what he was going to do. I don't know if Benno knew what he was going to do, but something always seemed to come from his runs forward. And I remember his goal against Man United. I think people who were there, Man United, and probably his old first division, I think it was, before it went Premier League, and we beat Man United at home 2-1. He scored in front of the rotor end. I think he sort of chipped it over. It could have been Brucey or Pallister, and then just put one in the corner. Everybody went mad. You know, Benno, just again a lovely guy who's. I think he took the club to his heart. You know, you can still tell he speaks about them that he loves them. But yeah, just a great servant. You know, solid. Would put his body on the line. Lucky enough, I say, got to train and play with him in the end, and I say that was great. Real character. As I say, off the pitch as well. But yeah, so Benno, again, another one who played a hell of a lot of games for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask that as well. So you did have the opportunity to play with him, and yeah, everyone sees the person on TV, the Gary Bennett. Just he's one of the most sort of aggressive players. When he went over that advertising board, incredible moments. But what was he sort of like in the dressing room and as a leader?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, again, I was a fan then when he did that to Dave Speedy. You know, and that was something else to be there that night. But yeah, he was. He could laugh and joke, Benno, like in the training, but he was a leader, and you knew when he meant business. And as a pitch, didn't take any prisoners. But yeah, just to say, a good man. He can come across. He can be very mellow, but as you point out, like once he crossed that white line, there was no prisoners. And again, as a young lad, if you were in a team with him, you knew if he spoke, you listened, and you had the respect for him.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's just sort of a back four full of leaders, I would say as well. That are very, very solid. I think they're keeping clean sheets at every game, especially their keeper and goal. So yeah, that fantastic back four you got there. So we'll go now to your midfield four. We'll start off who you've got on the left wing.
The left wing's probably one where this goes back to being a bit nostalgic and to my youth, but just a player, unbelievable talent, Kieran Brady. Obviously, he didn't play as many games as probably a lot of other wingers, but see, growing up as a fan and then watching them training with him. Just the ability he had was scary. Again, I think everybody of a certain era will remember the game against West Ham. Just a young winger who absolutely tore them apart. It was a day, I remember. I was in the full end for Sergio. I remember being against for that. Yeah, it was just an awesome display. But again, Kieran could do things with the ball. See, go past people like they weren't there. His old style winger just could drop the shoulder, go, and he'd just take 2 or 3 defenders out with one drop of the shoulder. Just again, left foot, great delivery. Again, say used to go and watch the youth team. I saw him score straight from a kick off, where he got the ball, passed it to him. He's just one touch up or volley straight in the goal. You know, just so much ability, and just a real shame that we didn't get to see more of him. You know, I think when I first went in the club as an apprentice, he was struggling then with his feet. Had a massive problem. So we'd go on long runs, and Kieran would come in sort of half an hour, 40 minutes behind everybody else. And back in them days, I think everybody just thought he was lazy and he wasn't putting it in. Again, sort of science and the physio side of things wasn't what it is now, and that sort of went on for a while, and I think it probably got to Kieran. You know, people sort of not maybe believing what was wrong with him, but it turned out he had quite a serious injury. And I think we saw a lot of great stuff from Kieran, but probably not as what should have been. You know, so again, just on the left wing, so just for as a winger myself, just somebody I loved watching as grown up. You know, as I said, he was just a wonderful talent.
Yeah, I've had the chance to do one of these episodes of Kieran Brady actually as well, and he says he obviously really he's still in Sunderland now, which just shows what what the sort of club did to him for him to still be there now. And he said he said he felt that the opportunities that he got, he said I mean, my dad says it as well. I don't think Kieran Brady got the opportunities he deserved, but Kieran Brady said I think maybe his professionalism, sort of off the pitch, prevented him from maybe making a little bit more performances. Would you say there's sort of any truth in that?
Yeah, again, it was a different sort of world then. Again, even when I sort of first went in the dressing rooms, that was sort of the way it was. Even sort of as youth team players, youth team managers would encourage you to have a drink, and say Kieran probably was in that boat where he enjoyed the lifestyle as much as anything else. But again, as I say, most people were doing it. But then, as I say, Kieran, maybe he's went a bit too far. As he says, again, looking back, he was only a young lad, and he sort of thrust into the light and you don't get the guidance that you do these days with certain things, So again, he probably he maybe think, I could have done things a bit differently, but again, I don't think he with the way he lived his life, So yeah, just a real shame. I'm sure, as I say, Kieran would like to have seen exactly what a fit Kieran would have done for another 5, 6, 7 years, because as I say, it's hard to explain to people unless you played with somebody like that and saw him close up actually how good he was.
Well, yeah, when he put himself in the team, because he put himself in his own 11, and he put in brackets. He said older. He said I wanted the older me in the team. That he had to make that clear. But yeah, it just shows really a person who retired at the age of 21. It didn't take him long to really make an impression. Usually, it takes players to get to the age of 23, 24, where they actually people realize and they go, oh wow, But he did it when he was younger, so it just shows what a great player he was.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was that young. And as you said, he retired at 21, but probably he's went through maybe he's a year, 2 years of trying to rehabilitate himself from his injury. So when he's done that against West Ham, and that was in the top division, you know what I mean? You're talking the first division then. He was in there probably he would have been a teenager. And probably as again for a game. Unfortunately for Kieran, it sort of didn't all pan out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a shame, but I think people do remember him as being a fantastic player. So yeah, that's who you got on the left wing. We'll move now to who you have playing on the right wing. So who have you got there?
Nicki Somerville. No, see anybody who watched him, just all you'll ever say. I think he wasn't a sort of typical winger where he'd go and take loads of people on, drop his shoulder. Buzzer just needed half a yard. See, you could see defenders thinking, I've got this covered. And he would find a way of just whipping this ball around them, and more often than not on Quinny's or Kev's head. Just in there for his delivery. Not the greatest trainer in the world, Buzzer. Loved to moan, but just, as I say, did it when it mattered on a Saturday afternoon. As I say, just one of them. I said, nobody could have. But yeah, just it must have been a centre forward's delight just to be in the box knowing, right, he's not going to mess about doing a chop and going this way and that way. He's getting half a yard and it's coming in. So as a centre forward, you can just imagine that must have been a dream to play with.
Absolutely.
On the right wing, he come on for me his debut away at Portsmouth. So I'm taking credit for Alan Johnson moving to the left and Buzzer coming in on the right, because I got a kick and a gash down my shin, so I had to go off at half time, and John Ho went left and Buzzer, and the rest's history. So did me bit for the club there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. I think a lot of people say, Quinn and Phillips would never have got the amount of goals that they would have, if Somerville hadn't have been there, putting those crosses in and giving them deliveries really. And I think, yeah, as you just said there, I think a lot of people would have a lot to thank you for Somerville coming into the team.
Yeah, exactly. He scored on his debut as well, so that there was no chance I was getting back in. No, but it was again. Buzzer was one of them. Some players can play. That was just his position. He could only really play right wing. So if I was playing any other formation, sort of Buzzer wouldn't be in. He was just a right winger. Get it in the box. But yeah, the quality he had was unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, he works his way into your team on the right wing. So we'll now go into the central midfield area of the pitch. So who have you got playing there?
Paul Bracewell.
Yeah.
3 spells at the club. Obviously the first one again as a young fan. I remember him coming in. I think it was when Alan Durbin was there. When we seemed to have a team looking back then that you thought this could do something, and Brace was part of that. But unfortunately, he was only there for the 1 year that year, and again probably shows the calibre that he was there 1 year and moved to Everton, who were winning trophies. So he went there, then again come back, and it was probably the second spell. As a fan, I remember more about him and just what a player. Remember his goal away at Sheffield United. I was in there behind the goal. He's hit a volley from the edge of the box. God, if the goal wasn't there, it would have still been travelling now. So, off the underside of the bar. But just he could just handle the ball anywhere. Always wanted it. Never flustered. Just seemed to buy himself time. And probably is a different player to the earlier players. So I think he had some bad injuries when he was at Everton. So I think he was more of a box-to-boxer and could get forward, pick passes. Probably he's in his third spell at the club. Probably what you'd say now is probably more of a bit of a defensive mid who just sit in there and sort of dictate play. But as I say, just loved to tackle, never pulled out of a tackle. As I say, just a proper midfielder. And again, one who probably, if it wasn't for his injuries, would have played a few more times for England. I think I saw somebody's other team not so long back. Wasn't on Ian Matthew, but they had him in as the worst Sunderland 11. I thought, if you think that football's not for you, you know what I mean? He was a proper player, honestly.
Yeah. I asked Kieran Brady a similar question. I'll tell you his answer in a minute. After a second spell at Sunderland, he had a bit of contract problems and ended up going to Newcastle. A bit like Barry Venison, but obviously Barry Venison went to Liverpool, then Newcastle. Paul Bracewell went to Newcastle from Sunderland. So obviously, how the Sunderland fans would feel in like the dressing room and the players at the time. Was there a similar feeling, or was it just like he was just going to another club?
I think it was more just going to another club then, and the thing is with Brace, he was one of them, just mentally strong, didn't give a monkey's what people thought. Again, short on the pitch, he could give it away, wouldn't faze him. He'd always want again. I think that was him. He was just one of them. He was mentally strong, so it didn't faze him. And again, a bit like Barry Venson, so shows how good he was, that he could go there, win them fans over, come back to us, win us over again. You know what I mean? Just sort of shows how good he is. Not like Steve Bruce.
Oh goodness me! Yeah, I know. What Kieran Brady said as well. It was just like he said, the Sunderland Newcastle rivalry. Obviously, when you're playing in the match, obviously the rivalry's there. But he says, when you're there in the dressing room, it will never be as big as what it is for the fans. So for him, Bracewell going to Newcastle was just like him going to another club as well.
Yeah, it is. Again, so it's when you're in the dressing room, it is it's a job as well, and you understand players have got to go, and so it doesn't really matter at all, to players where other players decide to go.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. At least he did come back and win all the Sunderland fans over in the end. All right, then. So we'll move on now to his central midfield partner. Who have you got there?
Well, I've got a few captains in my team, but this would be the captain, Kevin Ball. Yeah, just probably the hardest man you would ever want to face. Thankfully, I never played against him in a game, but I had to train with him every day, and that was bad enough. He trained exactly the way he played. He had a great knack of just being able to catch you with his studs and his elbow and stuff at the same time. He was brutal. He took no prisoners. But again, one of them sort of in the early days of getting in the team and stuff. He was one who was probably ahead of his time in terms of wasn't a big drinker and always looked after himself. And just he was a leader in everything he did. And again, you sort of knew if he was in the dressing room on the pitch, you wouldn't be getting bullied in whatever area of the pitch he was in because he just held his own, and he was one of them who'd always drag players along with him. But yeah, again, went from sort of being a centre half, I think, when I first started watching him at Sunderland, to being a centre midfielder, and just wholehearted. Again, I think Bally probably say was never the most sort of talented in terms of silky passing, but got everything out of his career and everything out of everything he did, really. Again, just a leader in the dressing room.
Yeah, I think also at that time as well, and I just wanted to ask you this: do you think a person like Kevin Ball now and the captain he is, it would work as well as how the game is now? Because obviously it has changed a bit from when he was the captain and when he was playing.
I think there's there'd still be space for it. Again, I think there's certain leaders who just can lead anybody, if you know what I mean. Sort of no matter what dressing room it is, people get on board with them, and I think Bally would probably be one of them. He was, as I say, just everything he did, and again, just a proper team man. Somebody you could go to and have a chat with and things, and yeah, he's just. As I say, just somebody everybody in the dressing room saw as captain. You know what I mean? Even like I said, Quinny and the stars had come, and Bally was the captain. He sort of everybody would go to him. Bally would do what would do, and Bally would be the man. So yeah, just and another one who sort of ended up staying in the area and sort of still at the club and showing what it sort of means to him.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think still now you still get the feel of Kevin Ball. You go and shake his hand now. Good thing about probably the coronavirus, you're not allowed to shake people's hands. So just give Kevin Ball a little wave, otherwise you'll just snap your hands in half. I remember I was a little 10-year-old. He shook my hand, and my tiny little hand it nearly snapped in half when he shook it. But yeah, no, fantastic guy, fantastic legend.
I'm just thinking now it's not a shake of hands. He'll be going in with the elbow, won't he? He'll be knocking people off the feet. Yeah. Honestly, he still his studs would always be so long, and you could see them coming flying towards you. And you're like, oh man, here he comes. He's just going to smash you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just again some of the tackles you would see him put in games. You're like, oh my god, unbelievable. Yeah. But getting off the pitch. Lovely fella, you know what I mean? It's just, but once he crossed that white line, whether it was training or playing, he was a different animal altogether.
Yeah, and people come on here, if they can't put Kevin Ball in their team, they still always mention him. They'll say, obviously players like Kevin Ball, and they'll talk about Kevin Ball for about 5-10 minutes, and then talk about the person they've actually put in their team, because he is all the type of player Sunderland fans want to see. Is someone exactly like Kevin Ball? Everything that you'd ever want in a player. A quality as well. Kevin. It's just Kevin Ball. He's just Mr. Sunderland, really, and he's not even from Sunderland.
Yeah. You see, like I say, people from a certain era just massively sort of take him. And again, that now even the younger lads, I think, just think, God, he's up there. As you say, you think of Sunderland, you think of Bally, really.
Yeah, exactly, and it's great he's still involved in the club now. Hopefully, maybe one day we might see him a little bit more involved. But I mean, for now, I think he's just sort of an ambassador of the club, and I think he does that job very well. But so he works his way into your team, and I'm sure he's your captain as well. All right, then. So that's your team so far. last position we've got to go is the strikers. You're going to rely on to score most of the goals. Although we have got some other players here that would score plenty of goals, I'm sure. The strikers, I'm sure it can only be two people, but you can talk us through who you've gone with.
Yeah, it was a tough one, this, because I probably could have named 6 or 7, from watching and playing. But the two, well, the big man, again, just another one, just a great fella, a great team man, but just a great footballer. You wouldn't think he was as good as he was with his feet. Say when he first come, you train with him, I was like, wow, this is not what we're expecting. You can actually play as well. But he was, again, I mean, when he first come, had a bit of a struggle with injuries, and I can sort of remember friends saying, "Guys, what we signed here," and I'm like, "Nah, seriously, he's a player." And it wasn't for quite a while. But when they saw the best of him, yes, to say, just unplayable in the way he played. So the thing is, Quinny rarely had to jump. Like he would back into players, and then he just pop it in areas that he wanted to go. And again, I didn't play masses of games with him, but the ones I played in, the game was easier just having him there. Because say if it went up to him, you knew it was going to stick, or if it was in the air, you could make runs, and you knew 9 times out of 10 he's going to win it, and you've got a chance. If you were crossing it, if you put it in the right areas, there's every chance he's going to head it. I think the first game I maybe played with him, see you just put him on, and 6'7", just appearing above everybody, and it was game, and it just, as I said, another good bloke in the dressing room. One a fella like you could, again, another way could speak to, and he couldn't do it. So good. I think, let's say, people know that, but sort of knows airs and graces about him. Just a good fella, but as I said, just a top class footballer as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was sort of one of the leaders as well, and one person after the Charlton playoff final. Were you in the dressing room after the playoff final against Charlton?
I was in, so, but yeah. It was, football was very serious to him, though. But he could find a way of, after the game, of maybe not making light of it, but just putting things into perspective and stuff like that. But yeah, again, just as I say, leader, would always look after younger lads. I know that the young Irish lads who come over, he would always sort of be there for them. And for somebody who'd done so much, not everybody would do that, But yeah, just a proper leader.
Yeah, as you say, someone who just cared so much about people and about Sunderland fans as well. And I say every single episode, because it's such a great story when they mention Niall Quinn, was the Sunderland fans at Cardiff Airport and how he helped them get home. Just not everyone would have done that.
No, not exactly. As I said, he did. He'd go above and beyond for people at times. Yeah, as I say, and another one just probably from that era where enjoyed the lifestyle off the pitch as well. Sometimes, he was one of them. He could stay out all night, but always on a Saturday. I was just one of them who would always perform on a Saturday. And again, just sort of under Brady, it was special, and obviously he was a massive part of it because the players around him. He helped make the game easier for them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he works his way into your team, and fantastic legend, Niall Quinn there. So his striking partner can only be one person, but you can talk us through who you've gone with.
Yeah, Super Kev. He's just also, again, a bit of an unknown player when he first came. Didn't really know too much about him, but we soon did in training. And so the thing is, when you play with it, you get a feel straight away. And as a finisher, even then, or just in training, just phenomenal. Just anything that fell in the box, he was there. I just had an uncanny sort of knack of hitting the back of the net quite often,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And again, I think as well. You know, that first time
Yeah.
up in the Premier League, just some of the goals he scored. I mean, I'd sort of left by then, and I'm watching, thinking, "Jeez, Kev, unbelievable! It's just goal after goal." But again, sort of no surprise in a lot of ways because you knew how good it was, brilliant. But he's
Yeah.
yeah, as I say, when he first come, again, I don't think he hit the ground running. I think he missed a penalty at home against somebody, and again, obviously, I've got a lot of friends who were fans, and they would say, "Oh, what we got here?" I'm saying, "Nah, honestly, I'm telling you, he's going to score goals." You know, and again, I didn't think he'd score so many, but I knew he'd score a few. But yeah, and again, just to play, I think his game evolved down the years. Used to see him obviously when he left us. He could drop deep, he could link up player, and just become probably an all-round better player and a really top striker, really top striker.
Yeah, of course. Someone as well that it was so. I mean, people don't want to describe it as arrogance, but he was very confident in his own abilities, wasn't he? And you know, he knew what he was capable of. One thing I always wanted to say about Kevin Phillips, obviously, he was a fantastic player, but was he sort of a massive character, like in the dressing room as well?
Not in terms of sort of the way your Quinnies and Alex Rays and people were, sort of not like that. But again, sort of a quietish fella, but sort of, as you say, just very confident in what he did on the pitch. But I'd say just again, just a good team player. I think that was a thing. He always worked hard as well. Again, he would have scored a lot of goals without Quinny, but together, say just unplayable. I think it reminded like sort of when before your time, like Gates and Gabardini. You know, he was down and Gabbers come in and they just hit it off. They just sparked each other, and I think that sort of Quinny and Kev together, they just became unplayable. You know, both obviously Quinny had done it before he come to Sunderland. Kev went to do it after Sunderland, but sort of together. And I might be talking, but I would imagine they would say that was their best time. You know, the best strike partnership they've played in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what is really great strike partners. You know, we've seen it before with people. You know, you look at now Wyke and O'Brien, and not quite the Quinn of Phillips, but yeah, you know, they're fantastic players. And yeah, I mean, you yourself have had the pleasure of playing with them as well. And, you know, a lot of fans that just talk about how great Narco and Kevin Phillips were, but you're actually on the pitch, helping them play, which was just, I'm sure for you, just incredible to see their talent right next to them.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was games I played up front with Kev before Quinny sort of got fit. I think it was one time I played up front with Kev, and again, awesome, great movement. And the one thing to say when you played on the wing, if Quinny wasn't there, Kev was unbelievable in the air. Like seeing some of the goals, like how high he got, just all around. But yeah, just as I say, two quality players who, if you're on the pitch with them, just made your job a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that they worked their way into your team. Well, very well deserved from them too. I'm quite disappointed you didn't put yourself in the team, but it's still a fantastic team you got there. Obviously, with every team, you need a manager, and I believe you have played under 4 different managers at Sunderland. I think it was Malcolm Crosby, Terry Butcher, Mick Buxton, and Peter Reid. But from then, who have you gone for?
I've gone for Brady. Sort of come in, as I said earlier, coming at a time when we were going down under Mick. Confidence had gone massively. And Brady just come in for 7 games and just character. I mean, anybody who's seen Premier Passions, just he come in off you when you think you've done well. But again, it wasn't just, it was anybody. He'd have a go brace. You know, it wasn't just young lads or some managers that pick on the young lad. Really would just have a go at everybody. But there was sort of that respect there, obviously, because he'd done everything in the game. You know, he'd won cups, he'd won European stuff, he played for England. So, yeah, I respect him. And again, just took us to a place. Again, I didn't play so many games under him, obviously, as I would have liked, but there was times you're watching as a player and you think, well, I can't get in that team. He's got to play so well. You know what I mean? How do you go knock on the door and tell him I should be playing instead of him? So again, he brought a brand of football when we were going well. That was just it was superb. You know, I think if you think back to the days when the stadium lights been rocking, it's probably the best times were under Brady. And again, I'd have to say Bobby Saxton would have to be with him because Bobby they complemented each other great. But really, he was the gaffer, and you knew he was the gaffer. You know, the time I remember, it was quite early on in it. We were playing a five-a-side, and Martin Scott gave him the old shoulder barge, and Brady's gone flying. And a few of us are sort of chuckling, and like Brady's ends up in this puddle, and he didn't say nothing. Next time, Scotty got a ball, he threw for him. Like properly just went through him, and that was his left back at the time. You think, oh my God, you know, you just imagine that now. But that was like him laying the law down. I'm the gaffer and don't mess with us, you know. And you knew if he flipped, just keep your head down. Keep your head down. Don't make eye contact with him because you don't want to be on the end of one of his lashings.
Yeah, I remember Kevin Ball said something where he went in for a team talk with Peter Reid, and everyone sort of sat down and just listened to every word that he said. And afterwards, I think everyone was ready to play like another 90 minutes. Was that what his team talks were like?
Yeah, he was. He could motivate a team. Yeah, as I said, I think again like Bally. I think Brady was very similar to Bally in the way he played. He was wholehearted, and again that's what he wanted from his teams. Again, you hear about this sort of high press and everything now. Brady was doing that. That was the way he wanted us to play. You know, and again for me as a winger under a previous managers, I wasn't expected to do a lot of that, and it was one of them you soon realised you had to do it. You know, you'd be pushing on the full backs, you'd be squeezing everybody. So as I say, he was not ahead of his time. I think people probably doing it around then, but he was doing all that stuff then. You know, he got the team playing with such a high tempo. But again, that come from him in the dressing room. He made sure, and when you were going out, he always had the team wound up.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, as I mentioned before I said Peter Reid, he did play under three other managers at Sunderland, there being Malcolm Crosby, Terry Butcher, and Mick Buxton. So for younger fans like myself and the ones watching, what were they like at the time as well?
Crosby was more a reserve manager of mine. I didn't actually play. He'd gone by the time I'd got to the first team. But I'd had Crosser in the reserves and youths. He was a good man, but I think more of a coach. I think he got the job on the back. I can't remember who somebody left. Right in my brains. He got the job on the back of somebody leaving, and it was probably he got us to the cup final, so they give him the job. So yeah, and then Butch gave us my debut. Butch was an up and at him sort of fella. Again, just thinking back, as I say, at my debut, I'd never been in a dressing room before, first team or in a squad. So just before the game, he's got the huddle and he's in it, and he's stamping his feet and he's giving her the war cries, and I was like, an up and at him sort of manager, but maybe he's not to the effect that Brady was. Yeah. So again, Butch I think I maybe only played 7 or 8 games under Butch, and he got the sack. And then Mick came in, Mick Buxton, who had been the reserve team manager, so was sort of aware of what I was capable of. And Mick was he was a quietish sort of man, very dour, but a good bloke. Loved Sunderland, and we did all right at the beginning. Very thorough. Loved a meeting about tactics, and you'd go in and he'd tell you, right, the right back you're playing against today, 6'1", kicks with his right foot, eyes are blue, and he just have everything. You're like, but he was very thorough, and again training, a lot of practice matches, a lot of set players, and it was all right at the beginning because we were getting results. But then I think he sort of lost the dressing room a little bit as time went on, and then meetings became a bit monotonous and doing the set players. He sort of lost it. And as I say, a good bloke, but again, his time was up when he left because he was taking us down. I say he was taking us down. Should put on him, but the players and everything we were going down. And as I say, that's when Brady come in and just lifted the whole place. And yeah, but a real different mix of managers, all with their own strengths. But Brady was definitely the one who got the most out of players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the time as well, Martin, that you played for Sunderland, I think there probably wasn't a better era you could have played for the club. Because that was the last best time, I think, in the club's history so far.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I could have. When you're watching the team, I was watching from either bench or it was a really good football team. Some good players. Again, there's so many players there who I could have mentioned. Alex Reyes, Gavin. Some really good players for our club.
Yeah, absolutely. But I understand it is quite difficult narrowing down an 11 to put there. I mean, personally, I haven't even tried myself to do it. But yeah, you've done it. It's a fantastic team. So yeah, thank you very much, Mark, for coming on and sharing that team with us. How have you found it?
Yeah, great. No, it's always good. As I say, sometimes they all want to talk about it. Once you start talking about Sunderland, it's one of them. You kind of shut up, can you?
You can't. The time's flown by, to be honest. An hour and 7 so far. But yeah, no, thank you very much for coming on. One question I always ask all the guests before we end it: what's your message to the Sunderland supporters watching?
I'd say be very optimistic. Got a good feeling that things have started to turn. I personally think we've maybe bottomed out. I think that the new guy, obviously you can't be totally 100% sure, but I've got a feeling his heart's in the right place and he's going to look to do things right. So massively optimistic.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We've got a date now for when we'll be back at football matches, obviously at the earliest, but it's still there. So we have something to definitely look forward to. So yeah, we'll look back. We'll look forward to seeing everyone at games then. But yeah, as always, everyone, the video is in association with the Sunderland Food Bank and the Sunderland Fans Museum. All details of how you can check those out be in the description below. But yeah, thank you very much, Martin, for joining me. Everyone stay safe. And for now, I'll see you in the next episode.